Okay, this is an update for my camping stove in the fireplace. The original video is labeled "No More Rocket Stove." I originally built the one with the pipe, just made a stovepipe, and the first model worked great, second one sucked. So what we're going to do is, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock last night I filled these up. So that's just overnight how much humidity these two pots put out. We're going to take a temperature reading before we open this up. We're at 87 degrees. 86. Back by the flange, which means there's still a little bit of heat in there. I love that about this stove so far, is that it has heat all night long. That's 12 hours. 12 hours since I put any wood in it. And I'm not using big wood. This is some old tree it's an old ash tree we had in our front yard. It cured for 3 years. It actually got harder as it cured, which I thought was kind of cool, but made it harder to split, but it cracked a lot, so we just used the cracks and worked with it that way. I usually just burn, like you see in the back, pieces of pallet wood. Okay, so we're going to open this up. And as you can see, I have lots of ash because I've saved up all sorts of cardboard through the summer and pizza boxes and so forth. So I've been trying to catch up on that because there's just too much in the way here. So you'll notice there's lots of ash because I've been burning extra cardboard. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to stir this thing up a bit. And we're going to see if there's any coal still in there. I can feel the heat back there. Well, look at that. I see coals. There's still coals. There's a chunk of wood in there, too. Now, I don't take... Look at that. There's coals. Did you see those coals? Look at that. There's coals there. There's more coals there. So there's not a lot of coals as much as the other morning. But the other morning, it was a lot earlier when I did this. Now, when there's coals, I don't take my ash out. The other day, I let it cool all day long. And I took out some ash. I didn't take it all out, but leaving a bed of ash in there gives a place for your coals to hold their heat longer. It kind of smothers them a little bit, I'm assuming. But the nice thing is that this is already warm. When I start my fire, I don't have to preheat the chimney. Now with the rocket stove, I was not getting heat all night long. Once it went out, I had all these fire brick stacked around it, and they released heat for a couple hours. But that was it. So I'm getting better heating, and I looked the stove up, and I don't know if you noticed before I open this, but it is Guide Gear. And I've also found Northern Tool, and I don't know if they still have it, but I saw it on another ad that the stove from Northern Tool looks identical, and theirs does not have wording on the front. So if you don't want it with wording on the front, you might be able to find the Northern Tool one. There's one on eBay for $100. being sold by somebody else and not Northern Tool. It's a great way to get rid of your bills without having to buy a shredder. A lot of times I'll roll my paper this way instead of wadding it up, because what that does is it allows the air to flow through. Once I get several pieces of paper in there, getting rid of old bills and all those things, those applications for credit cards, you guys throw them in the trash. And you know what? If somebody goes through your trash anywhere and they find your name on there and they find that code, they might be able to apply for credit in your name. So if you're concerned about identity theft, shred everything that has your name on it or any kind of code that's tied to your address, or cut that portion off of it if you want to throw it away. So after I get several pieces of paper in here, we're going to throw some cardboard on there too. So I can get rid of a bunch of this cardboard. Oh, I swept up some stuff here. I'm recording this on my cell phone, so I'm having to work one-handed here. So I usually cut my pizza boxes down. This was cutting down because I still had the rocket stove set up at that time. So fit better in the rocket stove, and I don't have to cut it as small now. This is a pretty good sized firebox. The stove, I can't remember the exact measurements, but it's a 16-inch deep firebox. I think we're already smoldering in there. This might self-ignite. Okay, now we're gonna help this ignite quicker. Just gotta grab a piece of paper. For some reason, oh, look at that. We ignited. A little puff of smoke. I keep all my stuff toward the back. I don't know why. All of a sudden, my camera got blurry. Why did my camera get blurry? Huh, that's really weird. Well, sorry the video got blurry for some reason. Even with the extra light, it's not. Back when I was doing the rocket stove videos, I bought a photo light set. It's for taking pictures. Bought one of the cheap ones. Now when I put cardboard in this, I want to get this thing hot. I usually burn enough cardboard that it gets so hot that I can hardly put my hands in there, and then I'll add wood. And what that does is that starts that wood quicker, and I don't have to start with a bunch of little kindling and stuff. But once I run out of this other cardboard, I'm going to go back to the kindling. I'm just trying to get rid of all this extra garbage. Man, this thing's getting hot already. I'm gonna have to figure out why my camera got blurry all of a sudden. It really sucks. I must have hit a button or something. I don't know. kind of roll up my longer strips of cardboard. I usually cut them so that the holes come the long way. And what that does is that also acts like chimney, sucking the air through. So as it burns, it gets air into the cardboard more. Again, I'm sorry about the blurry video. I don't know what happened, but it just went blurry. I need to get a different video recorder. Oh, look at that. We had a little bit of smoke trying to come out. So one improvement you could make to this stove, there's no fire brick in it or anything, is to buy a piece of steel plate to put on the bottom to protect your bottom from ever burning out. I'm not worried about that because I leave a lot of ash in my stove. I don't use a grate. I don't use anything. I've considered putting a grate in there, but it's one more thing I got to move as I clean it out or as I rake the ash back and forth. The more I leave the ash in there, the more it burns down and it gets really fine, just like the rocket stove was doing. And leaving the chimney open with that 3-inch pipe into the 6-inch, it's actually, there's no real need for a damper. I tried to figure out ways I could put the damper pipe in, and there's just not room. But with 3 inches, I don't really need it. I don't think I'm losing that much heat, and you got to have a certain amount of heat so you don't get creosote. Okay, a couple more pieces of cardboard and we'll go to wood. Go to macro or something. It almost acts like it's on macro. See that? My hand's focused fine. If I put it on light, it doesn't make any difference. Dang it, there it goes again. See the smoke? That's because I put the piece under the chimney. When I put wood in, I'll close the stove like that, but I'll leave the gap open. Most of the time burning, I'll leave all the 2 air intakes on the front open, and the cat door, or the dog door. In my front door, I'll leave that open for the pets. Plus, it brings air in. Leaving that open in the winter with just the little heaters that we use is just too much cold air for those, but this overpowers it. Okay, I think it's time to put some wood in. So we're just using pallet wood. At first, try to get it on top of that cardboard. This is not the official way to make a fire. If you're using, dang, hands in the way again. Sometimes I'll have to put an extra piece of cardboard in there to keep that going until that wood goes. Gotta find a better place to put my light because I got so much stuff in the way right now. So after I end the video, I'll fill up the water kettles here. I picked these up at yard sales really cheap because they had chips in them and stuff. They look great. I was using tin cans before. Like when you empty a can, like spaghetti cans work great. Spaghetti sauce. Because they're big and you still have to fill them quite often if you're going to put them on the stove. But used to be I just put them on the sides, on the fire brick. and the water would last all day and refill them each day. But doing this, I have to refill this thing every few hours, it looks like, because that was with the fire almost out. But that used almost a full pot of water. I got to clean this other one because I put cinnamon in it, and I let the water it was dark, so I didn't see that the water was almost gone, and I didn't refill it right away, and I kept smelling cinnamon, and pretty soon it started smelling burnt cinnamon. Okay, I'm gonna stop the video here. So the stove I found, this one's Guide Gear. Found another one, HQ Issue, same identical stove, except they take this front, and I believe the front's cast iron. When they cast it, they cast whatever name in it that the company that wants to sell it under. So HQ Issue I've seen on it, Guide Gear. Northern Tool has no name on the front of it. And it's a nice little stove. I love the design. I've tried those round ones that you see on eBay that are cheaper, and they are really thin. This one is heavy. I mean, it says 47 pounds shipping on the eBay when I looked it up. All you have to do is put those legs on, which are 2 screws. I thought about not using the legs and putting fire brick under it instead, leaving a gap for air to go through. But then we got measuring, and it looked like it would fit fine with the legs. If I took the legs off, I could drop the stove down, but I want the stove up a little bit where I can get into it easier. Looks like our fire's going, so we're going to close this door here in a minute. And after that burns down a little bit, we'll add bigger wood. So that's the end for this video. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the blurriness.